Hi, I'm Rachel Cook, and this is my series, Women, Wisdom, and Wellness. And today I have Mailyn Faulkner as my guest. So let me just tell you a little bit about why we're here for those of you who don't know me. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Rachel Cook, and for the last handful of years, I've been known as the barefoot body worker. I've been doing massage since 2003 and have had my own business since 2005 doing massage. And for the last handful of years have been doing something I lovingly call barefoot body work, which is basically doing massage with my feet. And now I am transitioning into life coaching and hypnotherapy. I've gotten certified, and that's part of the reason why I've asked my friend Mailyn here today. Mailyn and I have been friends for years, but she is also a life coach, and she's a coach that I worked with for, 2 years, 3 years?
2+ for sure.
Yeah, a little over 2 years at least, and she's a big part of the reason why I had the courage to make the shift that I'm making now. So, but it's still this really interesting transformation. So I wanted to bring Mailyn here because she's walked this path already. She has gone through the transformation of going from other businesses to being a coach and a teacher. And I feel like whether you're moving into coaching or not, this applies to everyone because we all go through really major changes in our life, whether it's having babies or getting married or moving to another state or changing careers or retiring or having your kids move away from home, illness, caring for aging parents. There's all kinds of major changes that we go through in life. And so I think I want Mailyn and I to kind of talk about that so we can discuss ways to kind of make that transition a little smoother. So, welcome, Mailyn. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Rachel. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have you for a few of these if you're okay with that because I feel like we have so many things to talk about. Mailyn is an infinite possibilities coach. Mm-hmm. She's a music teacher, a professional musician. She runs sound for a lot of coaches, including Mike Dooley, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what else do you do? You do so many things.
Well, the nice thing is that recently I let go of everything that was not in all of that you spoke about, all of what you spoke about just now.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that there are books that talk about being in your genius, and that helps your flow. And I feel that I'm at a point now that I'm doing everything that is in my genius and where I feel most comfortable and most successful.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about that. Why do you think that it's important to work within your genius? What does that bring?
Well, I think that often we're doing what we think we should do or what we've been told we are good at or things like that. And I think that we're the only ones that know deep in our souls where our passion is, and when we find that and when we step towards that and when we take steps towards that and those passions, then things start to flow easier. Yeah, everything from our financial flow to our personal flow, even our sleep gets better.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear you say that because that's kind of what I'm bumping up against a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm still doing massage part-time, mm-hmm. but I'm in the process of transitioning into coaching and hypnosis, mm-hmm. and it's kind of a rough transition. And I have a lot of people, mostly my clients, but also friends, mm-hmm. kind of telling me like, what are you doing? You've built this successful business. You have this thing that you're really good at, and now you're going to just walk away from that. Why would you do that? And yet I feel like as much as I love massage, as much as I love body work, as much as I love my clients and working with my clients, I feel like there's something more that is kind of wanting to come through me, something more that I'm wanting to step into. I want to express more of myself and my abilities.
Absolutely, and I think that's awesome because when we were working more one-on-one with our coaching, I was in the beginnings of those processes. And I can tell you that, you and I haven't seen each other for some time.
Yeah.
And your essence is calmer and even more beautiful than it used to be. So I get that by you taking steps towards what you know to be your truth, that you're stepping into yourself even more.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think it's really important for all of us to really tap into our own intuition and follow our own inner compass. And regardless of what the books say we should do, or experts say we should do, or family or friends or anybody says we should do, there's something inside of us that really guides us, right?
Right. And a lot of my coaching comes from a variety of sources. What came up just now when you were speaking about that is that no matter the books you were reading, the friends around you, the gurus you're listening to and taking in, you get to take what you want and leave the rest. Again, if it fits for you, receive it. If it doesn't fit, let it go. Take what you want and leave the rest out of everything that comes towards you and everything that you're seeking even. You'll get the answers that are yours to have.
It's funny too that you said even what you're seeking, because what I'm finding as I'm moving in through this transition is that it's not just the coaching and the hypnotherapy that I'm moving into, but I'm moving into a fuller expression really of who I am. And I have started writing poetry again, which I went for years without doing.
Nice.
And my creativity has really just kind of percolated lately on so many different levels. And so I feel like it's not just a new career that's coming through, but like I'm becoming more of myself. Absolutely. And maybe part of that is just sort of something that comes with age, but I think part of it is this transition that I'm going through, and the fact that I'm sort of allowing it and allowing myself to be in this kind of weird place where it's kind of ambiguous and I don't have it all figured out yet.
Right. And actually that's a wonderful place to be, because you're open and receptive to what is coming instead of feeling like you have to have a plan. Where we often make mistakes, and Mike Dooley talks about this, is the cursed hows. How am I going to get to this point, whatever that point is for you? And if you allow yourself, as you have done, to go with the flow and to go with each step, as painful as that can be sometimes, because sometimes we get on ourselves for thinking we should know or we should be further along or what have you. So it's not only allowing it to happen, but to be grateful for each step of the way, because there are times when I wanted to move forward faster, but in hindsight, what I realized is those ways that I wanted to move forward, I wouldn't be in the same place as I am now had I done that. And so each step along the way is divine in whatever way that is embodied or outpictures in our lives, because there are pieces along the way that if we weren't meant to have those lessons, if we weren't meant to have that experience, we wouldn't be having it. So it's a matter of being real with what is in your life, but also if that's not a place that you want to be, look towards what you want to be, where you want to be, how you want to be. What is the result that you want? And get to the feelings of how that will feel when you get those results. Because when you are thinking about the thoughts, that's part of it. But it's the emotions that are behind it and how that would feel that can really catapult you into expression of your dreams.
So it's not even so much stepping into something specific. It's, excuse me, as you say, stepping into the feeling of what we want and allowing the details to kind of fill in, because we might not know what it looks like yet. And that's something that I know. I have ideas of the business I want to build. I have some ideas about structure and what I want to be there for sure. But I have been kind of beating myself up a little bit for not knowing exactly. I feel like I'm supposed to know what my niche is going to be, and I'm supposed to know what exactly my clientele is going to be, and I'm supposed to have this all figured out, and I really don't. But I think some of that kind of develops organically, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and good that you don't, because here's the deal. One of my statements that I use in my teaching is to have, to live in expectancy without expectation. And what that means is live in expectancy that things are going to work out, no matter what. But you don't need to know the details. In fact, be open to whatever comes, because as I've told you many times, the universe is conspiring for our good constantly at every moment. And we may not even be able to see the magic that is coming into our life, but the university is bringing it. So if we're closed and if we're specifically seeing it a certain way and that way or only that way, that's what we'll get. But if we're open to the option that the universe might have even bigger ideas than we've yet thought of, then that comes because we're open to it.
Something I've heard you talk about a lot is being open at the top.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because that's what I just spoke about. If we have a ceiling, often and with politics or work situations, we talk about a glass ceiling and smashing that glass ceiling. Well, often it's ourselves that put that glass ceiling on. If we're open at the top, anything's possible. And that's why Mike Dooley calls it infinite possibilities.
I like that. And now you can see why she's a coach for that, because she's so good about talking about it.
Thanks.
So I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something about that.
It'll come back.
But yeah, it's really kind of about opening to the magic that life has for us, because sometimes life lines up things for us that we can't, from our little perspective, see in the moment. So one of the things that you and I talked about, it was a little over a year ago, that I was really frustrated about is I was wanting to move into this hypnosis thing, and I had taken some classes, but I was really wanting to find mentors who were in the business and doing it, but at the time I felt like I don't really have money to hire somebody to be my mentor, so I didn't see any possibility for that. And I finally got to a point where I decided that I would open myself up to the possibility of having a part-time job in addition to my business. And then I ended up at Eastburn Hypnotherapy working with Drake and Lindsay, who are brilliant, and they both have so much experience, and they're experts at what they do, and they're instructors. And so I have benefited so much from learning from them and going through their classes then, and being able to kind of pick their brains and having them sort of be mentors to me in a way, and just being around them all the time and picking up stuff almost incidentally from them too. And I couldn't have seen that possibility.
Exactly, and absolutely. And what I remember about that story, Rachel, is that it's also right there in front of you, right? How many times have you heard the songs or seen the ads or listened to the music where it says that love of my life was right there in front of me? And sometimes that's a lover and a partner and later a spouse, or sometimes that's the passion that you are here to bring to the world. And that is part of what you discovered in that. Yeah. And as you have gone through the mentorship with that, you've just blossomed and bloomed. And it's so wonderful to watch.
Yeah, and I've gotten so much more from working with Drake and Lindsay, being around them all the time, than I would by just having gone through the hypnosis classes, or I think probably even more than I would if I had hired somebody to be my mentor and work with me, a couple hours a week or something. I don't know, but I feel like I've really, I just really had an awesome opportunity present itself there, and I'm just infinitely grateful for that.
Absolutely, and the key was that you were open to it and that you stepped into it, even though it may not have seemed ideal at first. So But as you stepped into it, the blessings came flowing through that experience that you wouldn't have had.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things, I can't think of his name now, the guy who wrote, I can't even think of the name of the book now. So anyway,
what's the statement?
T. Harv Eker, is that
Eker
name right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He talks about
the power of now. And
no, that's a different. You're thinking of Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, you're so right.
T. Harv Eker,
yes,
I think is his name. Yeah, I
Gotcha.
should know that, but I forgot it. Anyway,
now you remember it.
Yes, exactly. I knew it would come to me. So one of the things he talks about is just getting in the corridor, and if there's a business that you want to get into, get in on some level. Get in that industry on some level. So I'm answering the phone for this hypnotherapy office, and booking appointments online and sending out emails and that kind of stuff, but I'm in the corridor and I'm learning so much in the process. Mm-hmm. And have had an opportunity to take amazing classes with Drake and Lindsay, and just have really had some really cool opportunities that I wouldn't have had I not put myself in that position to be in that kind of magic and miracles place.
Exactly, and I can relate to that. As I was running sound for conferences and things, I didn't picture myself at first as a speaker necessarily, or as a coach even, but as I took more and more classes, and as I realized I was talking to my friends and my partner and other people about what I was learning, and it flowed so naturally that I decided, why not me? Why couldn't I be up there and helping others in the ways that I have been helped? And what better honoring of the teachers that I have had along the way than to pass on what I've learned from them as well.
Right. So you were doing the teaching and the coaching even before you kind of claimed it and said, this is what I'm going to do for my career now.
Absolutely.
You were already doing it, so it was sort of a natural flow.
Yeah, and I think I've done it since I was a little child. On all levels. My mom tells these stories to my friends about how I used to gather the neighbors every day when I'd come home from school, or most days, and teach them what I had learned.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So she's constantly said I was a natural teacher. And that's really true. I also wrote in my senior yearbook that I will eventually be a music teacher. And I didn't go back to school to get a degree so I could do that until my late 30s, and graduated in my early 40s. And then even after that, it took some time to develop that. I had one student at a time, or I had a handful of students while I was in school. That was a good spot. Mm-hmm. And then I moved up to the mountains and got introduced to a music school there. And I've gone from a handful of students to about 30 students now.
Wow.
A week. That's
crazy.
Awesome. I know. It's so awesome.
Wow.
And like yesterday I had 10 students. And when I get to the end of those 10 students, I'm like, oh, I'm done today? Oh, I'm not tired like I was in corporate America when I was doing other things that weren't my passion. But I was doing them to get by, or I was doing them to pay the rent, or I was doing them for all these reasons that we're taught throughout our lives and throughout our schooling. And so when you can finally step out and really do what you want, it's amazing the abundance that I'm experiencing now that is even further beyond what I ever imagined until it started happening. And now I'm embracing that and going, okay, what's next? Now what can we do? And it's just a constant roll as long as we choose to stay in the flow of it.
Right, and not stop that flow by going, well, this is all I can create, or I think for me that's one of the things that I've kind of had to overcome a little bit, because I was so passionate about massage and so passionate about building a massage business, and I loved it so much that there was this part of me that said, can I really do something, can I really move away from that now? Because I'm walking away from this thing that I love. But I think there's that element of, what if we could just live what if we could just love everything we do, whether we continue to do it for the rest of our lives or whether we go on and do something else we want to do?
Well, and another...
Why can't we enjoy the whole path, right?
Exactly. And another part of that is that you are really good at massage. And knowing that you're really good at massage, what I knew of you is that whatever you chose to do, you'd be good at it, or you wouldn't do it. So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Nice.
So I don't know what else. What else do we need to say about that?
Just that it's been an amazing process. It's been an amazing process to watch your growth and to see you step into more of yourself. And I'm so proud to be a friend and a coach. And I look forward to what's in both of our futures.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to talk a little bit about what the transition into coaching, I mean, we've talked a little bit about that, but kind of what that was for you, because I think it was a lot of, like you said, you were kind of doing it before you kind of claimed it initially, or officially.
Yes.
But so it was kind of about stepping into knowing what you already knew, right? And kind of standing in that confidence. So was that difficult for you, or how did you kind of get through that process?
Okay, well, for me, what really came through and helped me with that transition was the training I took with Mike Dooley in Infinite Possibilities. And one of the things that I love about him and how he brings his material to the world is that at his trainings, he makes it clear to teach in your own style, to take the material that he has brought forth. There are certain points each chapter to go over, but you get to deliver them in any way that you want to. And what he says in those trainings is people are going to be drawn to you for you. So use your own style to teach that. So I stepped into that. And I use music, as you know, because you were in my very first class, which is wonderful. I use music to explain the lessons that we have in each of the chapters. And so that was just so magical for me. I didn't need to be anybody other than who I already was. And that was really cool. And then, as we've spoken about already, taking things as they came. I had a few students in that first class. One of my later students approached me. I had already done several of the classes, and she wasn't able to make them because of her work schedule. And she approached me and said, "Can I pay you more? Would you teach me one-on-one?" And I said yes.
Wow.
And so as many of the teachings along the New Thought or anything else talk about, say yes. And when that feels right to say yes, say yes. I did in that particular moment. And that has expanded to even more students, because just yesterday I was looking online and somebody was looking for a coach and she recommended me to them. So you never know what is going to roll into your path. And so just taking each step along the way and seeing what comes up and rolling with it is just magical. And I wouldn't have ever pictured it the way that it's rolled out so far. And I'm open to even more possibility because of how that has come to me. So the transition is as easy as you can make it. Allowing yourself to go with the flow. You know, in our society, a lot of times we're taught to paddle upstream and fight and struggle and all of that, especially if you grew up in chaos like I did. That's natural for you. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to struggle. You don't need to take that path less traveled, or maybe the path on the going with the flow is less traveled at this point. But anyway, allow yourself to go with the flow and to let go of those oars and pull them in and allow yourself to go with the flow.
Something else I'm kind of hearing too is that you, even though at the beginning it started kind of small, you didn't let that discourage you. You just kept going and you just stuck with it and you allowed it to develop naturally instead of going, oh, well, this isn't happening and just giving up. Or
Exactly.
And I think that's really easy to do for us to kind of get into that all or nothing kind of thinking, like it either has to be here or it has to be here. And you kind of started it part-time and let it develop, right?
Absolutely. And that's part of going with the flow. It doesn't all happen yesterday like we wanted to. Sometimes you and I have
We've had that conversation a lot.
That's why we're both giggling. Anyway, so yes, exactly. And, there's this, in one of the books that I refer to a lot, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's also the one that talks about living in your genius. But it also talks about we have kind of a thermostat in our lives. And it's not only one that's on the wall, but it's in our lives. And when we go beyond where we thought we could have gone, sometimes we'll set the reset button and pull ourselves back. That's another caution that I would like to put out there. Don't allow that to happen. It's okay to grow. It's okay to be big. It's okay to allow the growth in its natural form to happen. And often that happens, whether it's financially or even recently I said something about how many students I wanted to have. And somebody said, wow, that's a lot. Can you really handle that? And I thought, yeah, absolutely. And I'm getting to the point where I'm surpassing that. And I'm open to it because I'm feeling how it feels each step of the way. And more students would not come to me if I was not supposed to do that. And I will get to a point where I don't want to overwhelm myself either. And so it's all a matter of paying attention to how you feel with what you're doing and allow yourself to bring in all that you can, do all you can do, and know the breaking point where you need to say, here's a good place for me to cap out. And when you get to a point of that, like I've gotten to a point of that with my students, I have people that would call me every once in a while and set up a lesson for music. And now they're like, well, we used to do it once a month. And what I know that it's better if you do it more consistently. And I've experienced that over time. So now that adds a little bit more value to what you do because people are coming to you consistently. So it makes your time more of a premium, both in allowing the time and also money. So that can increase your value.
Students are getting better results because they're coming more often instead of just kind of randomly a lesson here, a lesson there. Yeah. So you mentioned something about our just the kind of the big thing that you said that I really want to draw attention to is about figuring out what's right for you, right? So it's part of it is being willing to step into your greatness and step into what's possible for you, but it's also not pushing yourself to create somebody else's idea of success, right? So someone else may think, oh, you need to have this huge empire and hire employees and have tons of classes and or whatever, and maybe that's not what you want. So it's also really about not creating someone else's idea of what you could create or what you should create, but really creating what's right for you and listening to yourself every step of the way and using that internal compass to guide you, right?
Absolutely. It's about finding balance. Taking care of yourself first. We talk about this all the time and how we cannot give from an empty pot or an empty glass or whatever you want to use as the example. So it's a matter of taking care of yourself and taking care of yourself in being able to regulate your time, your energy, all of that. Taking time for yourself every day to get centered and to get calm and to make decisions from that place instead of the harried, chaotic side that maybe you or I grew up with or that we still had in corporate America or wherever we chose to work at first. Pay attention to what works and what doesn't. Take on what works and revel in the gratitude for that and let go of what doesn't work. it's okay to let go of what doesn't work. Sometimes we just need permission from other people. There you have permission. Let go of what doesn't work.
It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like that's a theme that keeps coming up for me lately, is just over and over and over again, is just sort of this process of letting go. And just because something was perfect for you at one time doesn't mean that it has to be perfect for the rest of your life, right? Whether it's a career or a family situation or a home or a car or whatever it is, right? Physical possessions. I mean, sometimes things that were perfect for us at one time are then not later. So it's just about really checking in with ourselves and figuring out what is time to let go of and what is time to embrace and move into, right?
Absolutely. And what brings, or what that brings to mind as well, is sometimes along the way when I would have cancellations. And when you're in this kind of transition and you're wanting new clients or you're wanting new customers or whatever your business involves, and you have people cancel, I've learned to bless those as well. Because what I know is that if you have a client that cancels once or cancels several times, it's most likely for sure that it's most likely an outpicturing that they're not ready for what you have to share with them. And that's an okay thing to not have that yet. I have had people come back to me a couple of years later and they were more ready and moved faster and dove into the process more readily than they would have had they come to that appointment 2 years ago. So allow even the flow of clients to come in and out with whatever your industry is.
So it sounds like it's not about forcing anything to happen.
Exactly.
and also maybe there's something in there about kind of not watering down who you are to make other people comfortable and necessarily where they're ready, right? It's sort of just doing what you do and being who you are, and the right people are attracted to you, and the people who and they're attracted to you at the right time, maybe.
Absolutely.
So it's not even just about the right people, but it's about the right timing too, and then being ready and open to experience what you have to offer.
Absolutely. Yep.
So awesome.
Great.
Yeah. So anything else you'd like to add?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Great. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to ask you. And I can't really think of anything. Yeah, I can't think of anything.
All right.
Okay, so if people want to get a hold of you, want to work with you, know more about who you are, how can they do that?
Absolutely. The best way to do this is actually either text or call me at my phone number, which is 720-231-6797, or you can hit me up through email, mailyn@me.com, and you spell that MAILYN @me.com. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Great. And Mailyn does Infinite Possibilities classes.
Yes.
You teach music, and what specifically do you teach?
I teach voice, guitar, ukulele, and soon mandolin.
Oh, cool. All right, we're going to have to talk. Because that's
growing and expanding. She didn't even know that yet.
I did not. We've talked about this before because I play a little bit of guitar. I really would like to get more into guitar, but I've been talking about learning to play mandolin for a while now too.
Nice.
So
great.
So that may happen at some point. We'll see.
Absolutely.
So everything in the right timing, right?
Perfect.
And you also do Infinite Possibilities coaching one-on-one, right?
I do. And often it's good to take a class of mine first and get the general idea of what Infinite Possibilities is about. And then we go from there afterwards. If it feels like a fit for you to do one-on-one coaching like I did with Rachel, and I do with others, then that's a next step we can take if that feels like a fit for you.
Yeah, and Mailyn's classes are so much fun because, like she said, she brings in music. So she uses the Infinite Possibilities teachings that Mike Dooley has developed and brought to the world, but then she kind of puts her own her own, I don't want to say spin, because it's not really putting a spin on it, but you're bringing yourself into it and bringing her music into it, and really, I feel like the music just adds so much to it, because music is so, it's so into our emotional part of ourselves, and it affects our subconscious mind so powerfully that I think it really kind of drives stuff home a little more, and you're able to kind of feel the message on an emotional level more than just sort of a head level.
Yeah, absolutely. Music is vibration, and everything in this universe is vibration. But when you take lessons and you use music to portray them, it goes even deeper automatically without you having to work harder or anything. It just flows into you because your body and your emotions and your heart picks it up. And that's the reason why I'm writing a book about that very thing. Change Your Music, Change Your Life is the working title. And I'm in the process of editing right now. So stay tuned. And, I can maybe let you know when that book is out, and you can let all your fans know. So if that feels like a fit for them, they can purchase that book as well.
Yeah, we'll have to have you talk about that as a separate topic,
Great.
I think, because we could really get into that too.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And one of the other things Mailyn does is she really likes to get people up and dancing.
Well, there's that.
Whether at other people's events or her own, and
Absolutely.
that's really fun too, because then you're actually really embodying this stuff and just getting moving and getting up and having fun. And she has made a lot of the events that I've gone to a lot more fun just because of that, and because of the music that she brings. So do you still run sound for people?
I do.
too?
As a matter of fact, I'm going to be running sound this weekend for a 3-day event. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah, absolutely. So that's another whole plethora of what I do, because I like to bring the music, and I have an interesting niche with that because of my music background, because of the access to so much music that I have. I can run sound at an event, a conference, or what have you, and I really pay attention to what the speakers are speaking about, and I back that up with music in the breaks. And often after lunch we do a dance so that people after they've eaten their lunch are not falling asleep. So we keep that all going. So I have kind of an interesting niche with that as well, and I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy inspiring awakenings with everything I do, whether it's me personally or supporting events like that. That's just one of the many ways that I do that.
And that's actually how Mailyn and I first met, is at George Carroll's events.
Absolutely.
She was running sound for George, and it's just the music really adds so much to it, because when we're at those high points and doing fun exercises or something, you've got upbeat music going that's really positive. But then when we're doing maybe more of a meditative kind of exercise, she's got this music that's really mellow and meditative and really helps people get into the process too. So I feel like your music just adds so much to everything you do too.
Thank you. And it's a blessing to have it from the time I was born.
Didn't you say you came out singing?
Yes. I came into the world singing. When people were slapped to cry, I sang.
Well, thanks so much for being here, Mailyn. It's been just so much fun. I'm glad that you were my first guest on this show, in this series, and I think this is going to be really fun. And I'm just so glad to have you both as both having worked with you as a coach, but also just knowing you as a friend. I really value that. So thank you.
I honor all aspects of that as well, and I appreciate being the first guest. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Mailyn.
Thanks.